Okay, guys, it is finally time. I sound like crazy loud. Maybe I should turn my mic down a bit. Let me see here. 1 second. There we go. That's probably a little bit better. Welcome, everybody, to the Crazy Flyer 175 channel. Today, we have got a pretty exciting stream going on. Hang tight. Let me get that out of your way. Airbus just released the Diamond DA50. You know, I didn't really even know this airplane was coming out until a few weeks ago, and they released like their first promo video, and I was like, you know, mouth open, drool coming out, you know, over how awesome this airplane looks. You know, I've got probably 1,000 hours of real world experience in Diamond aircraft. Never in the DA50 or the DA62, but I do have time in the DA20, the DA40, and the DA42, and from what I understand, even these bigger diamonds really do fly like the other ones, and I can tell you they're nice flying airplanes. I love flying diamond aircraft, and I kind of miss, you know, I don't get to do it anymore because I'm flying Embraer 175, so I don't really get to go out and fly little airplanes very much, but this would be an airplane I would absolutely love to fly in real life. And Aerobasque, I don't think they will disappoint. I have only taken this airplane out once just to make sure it worked. I took it for one lap around the pattern. That is all the experience I have with it. So we're going to be jumping into it head first today. We're going to fly from Durango, and we're going to go to Telluride, Colorado, and do a little bit of mountain flying and check out the new airplane. Now, I have another new exciting announcement for you guys as well. I actually just released my first repaint on the xplane.org website. Those of you who follow the channel for a while know that I'm also a fan of the Epic E1000. Aerobas did a great job with that airplane, and I've also ridden in an Epic LT in real life. And so that Epic LT that I got to take a ride in a few years back, I had a picture of it, and I decided to go ahead and attempt a repaint. So we're gonna do a live stream with this airplane some other time, but I'm at least gonna share some screenshots with you just to kind of show you the work that I've been doing over a couple of days on this airplane. But this is the Epic E1000 by Airbask. It's in real life, the airplane's an Epic LT, which is like the earlier experimental version of the airplane. But yeah, check this out. I think it turned out pretty slick. It's a nice looking airplane. This is my first time doing like PBR. You can see it's got like some shine and stuff to the paint, a little bit reflective. My first time ever attempting that, and I have to say it turned out pretty freaking awesome. I am so excited to be able to release that on xplane.org, share it with you guys. Hopefully somebody will like it, but I think it looks pretty cool. Here's a picture of the real airplane that I got to ride in. I did change up the tail number just because I don't know if the owners of the airplane would actually want me sharing their tail number or not. But anyway, so I just changed tail number. Otherwise, I tried to make the livery and everything about the airplane exactly as close to the real one as I could. There's a few minor details you'll notice up here, especially like the inlet here for the engine there, and I didn't quite get the textures right there. It's actually a very tricky thing. This whole texture right here for the lower lip and the inlet is a completely different texture than the rest of the fuselage. It's in the same file, but it's in a very different area, and so it's hard to get it to match up. I'm going to keep working on that, and then you got like, you know, the rear nav light up there is not quite paint match. There's a few just little details, but overall I think that airplane turned out pretty cool. I might even do a second live stream later tonight, just so we get a chance to go out and fly that and have some fun with it. But for now, the story is all about the new airplane. This is the Aerobasque DA50. And guys, I am so excited to get to fly this airplane. Like I said, when I first saw it was coming out, my mouth was just, you know, wide agape open with the level of detail that they put into the airplane. As far as I know, in X-Plane, I don't know of any other GA aircraft that has like wing flex modeled. This airplane does. You know, the texturing Aerobasque is famous for, they certainly didn't disappoint here. I mean, even just the stitching, you can see all the little bumps and the texture of the leather. I mean, you really feel like you're in the airplane with this thing. I am so excited to get to fly it. But yeah, so let's check it out a little bit here. We're going to get a few things set up. So we're going from, we're going to go up to Telluride. We're going to make sure we got enough fuel for that. I figure about 20 gallons aside. We're going to go pretty light. We were doing a little mountain flying. So we'll just do myself. We'll have one front seat passenger and somebody in the back. And then, you know, just some very light bags, you know, just the normal stuff you might carry in the airplane when you go out flying on a normal day. Other than that, I think we'll be all good. I'll make myself a male pilot. How about that? Alright guys, let's see, and we'll go ahead and let's pull the chocks and all the ground stuff. Where's that at? There it is, up there. All the doors are closed, everything else is good to go. Let's hop in the airplane, let's get going. As far as I can tell, I think this airplane really flies just like any of the other Diamonds in terms of operation. Very simple to operate, in my opinion. Alright, we got that on. Let's see here. We'll make sure the fuel valve is turned on. We can turn off that AC for now while we're getting the engine fired up. In fact, we'll open the window. Just let some of that cool mountain air into the flight deck. Here's where we get going. Turn the master switch on. Position lights come on. Waiting for that glow-on annunciator to extinguish. There it goes. And now I think just like the DA62, I think we can just fire it right up. And she purrs to life. Nice sound, and we got oil pressure. That's good there. Let's get the alternators turned on. The electrical system. We'll go ahead and turn on our avionics master. And the airplane is booting up. So from my previous experience in the DA40, this is a switch that's new if you're coming from the DA62, the essential bus switch. From my knowledge of the DA40, and it's similar in this airplane as well, this is only used for emergency situations. So in case you had a dual alternator failure, in this case, in the DA40 it's only a single alternator. But if that alternator fails, we want to be able to conserve electrical power. Obviously the G1000, all the avionics can use a lot of electric power. Diamond was pretty smart when they designed this airplane, and I'm going to show you a little tip and trick. If you look over here at the... let me zoom out just a little bit. There we go. If you look at the circuit breaker panel, you'll notice, actually, yeah, they did do it here as well. You'll notice there's this whole area of circuit breakers right here labeled Essential Bus. Basically, if you turn on your Essential Bus, you're basically telling the airplane, I want to turn off everything that's not part of this. So for example, with your Essential Bus, you're going to still have ACARS, you're still going to have one comm radio, one nav radio, one GPS receiver. You'll still have your flaps and pitot heat, you know, the essential stuff you'll need to operate the airplane, but you'll notice some of the stuff maybe you don't need quite as much, like the secondary avionics, so like autopilot, your second comm and nav and all that stuff will get turned off if you turn on the Essential Bus. The idea is that that will help you shed load and save power for the airplane. Very smart design by Diamond Aircraft when they designed it, and it's kind of cool. Let's see, just out of curiosity, let's see if it's modeled here. If we go Essential Bus, I'm not sure if it's actually modeled or not. It doesn't look like we had anything turned off. In the real airplane, when you turn on the Essential Bus, you'll actually like turn off your MFD and you'll see red X's over the radios and stuff, just like if your avionics were off. Because essentially it turns off your avionics bus if you turn on the Essential Bus, as well as a few other electrical stuff. Anyways, besides getting too distracted and geeking out too much in systems, we're going to fly the airplane. Got it fired up. Let's go notch of flaps, check the trim here. That's working. Electric trim, we'll do an autopilot check. Autopilot's engaged. You can see the stick won't move there. Servos are on. Click the disconnect. The autopilot shuts off. That's good there. And I'm just curious. So in the real airplane, one other check that we would often do in the DA40 is we would check the electric trim to prevent a trim runaway. We have the red autopilot trim disconnect button right here. And if you press and hold that red button on the stick and then try to remove the trim with the electric trim, it actually wouldn't work on the electric trim. You could still trim it with the wheel, but anyways, again, I don't want to geek out too much. I'm going way too in depth for a fun Twitch video where we're going to go do some flying. Alright, let's bring the transponder on. We're going to get the flight plan in there. I do have filed IFR. It is a beautiful VFR day though, so we'll see if we even bother taking this flight. IFR, I don't even know if there's any ATC for us as well either. I didn't look at that spy. Let's see, we'll go over here. Let's find our flight plan. It's going to be KDRO to KTEX, Durango to Telluride. There it is right there, Durango Telluride. So this should take us direct to the Durango VOR, and then we join Victor 382 to the, what is that VOR? I forget what ETL is. We'll look it up here in a minute. And then into Telluride. Basically all your approaches start from there. It's similar to Aspen in many ways to Telluride. All the approaches kind of coming from one direction, based off of like a VOR. Okay, flight plan is in there. And let's go ahead and we'll get some charts pulled up here for Durango. Let's see if we've got any departure procedures. I'm sure there's an ODP. So we might just kind of follow it, like I said. You know, we'll VFR conditions. We'll do a little IFR, and you know, maybe if we see some cool scenery and stuff, we'll break off and just have some fun hand flying the airplane. Grab our 10-9 page like always. Let's grab our, let's see, do they have a departure? Don't look like they have a departure specifically reference. Just the overview here. Okay, well that's easy enough. So here's this, we'll depart, actually I don't know what direction we're going to depart. Let's listen to, we'll use the active sky weather here.
Kilo Delta Romeo Oscar Airport.
Hey Schnitzel, how's it going?
1753 Zulu weather wind.
She's curvy. She's a beautiful airplane.
3 visibility 10 sky clear temperature 9er dew point -8 altimeter 3036 advise on initial contact
3036 and there we go. I didn't catch that one, so let me listen to those winds one more time, then we'll take a look at the
Kilo
outside of the
Delta
airplane.
Romeo Oscar Airport information Foxtrot 1753 Zulu weather wind 19er 1 visibility
191 at 3. Okay, so we'll depart runway 21 today. Yeah. But yeah, check this airplane out, man. She is looking real nice. And you can see the wing, you know, droops a little bit. This is, like I said, this is the only GA airplane I know of, like single engine piston, that has a wing flex and X-plane, which is pretty cool. We'll check that out. We'll see if we can find some rough air to fly through. Watch the wings move around a little bit, which is pretty accurate. I'll be honest. For, you know, from the time I have, especially in the DA50, when I flew that airplane during my multi-engine training, you could actually see it on a bumpy day. Even in an airplane that small, you would actually see the wings flex a little bit with the bumps. But yeah, it's very cool that they have that modeled. It makes me really excited to go fly the airplane. Alright guys, so we're going to taxi out here. We'll take Alpha to Alpha 1, and we'll depart runway 21. Retro, how's it going? Do you guys look at the airport briefing and follow all the rules in the real world? Yes, we generally do. Once you've been to an airport a few times, you know, obviously, you kind of know, you know, even before you read through the briefing and everything, what to expect from those airports. But certainly anytime I go into a new airport, I always try to read through all of the briefing that I can, get as familiar with the airport as I can. Like yesterday, I actually flew to Toronto, Canada for the first time here on my last trip. I'd never flown in there before, and I got reassigned and had to go in there in the middle of the night. But, you know, the briefing, there's a few little gotchas about Toronto you got to be aware of, but, you know, by the time I read through the briefing, I was perfectly comfortable going in there, having all the information that I needed. Let's see here, check IR, there we go. Let's get a little taxi by shot here as we make our way out of the ramp. Oops, accidentally just messed up my flap skin. There we go. Check that airplane out, guys. The sounds are just phenomenal as well. You should crank the sounds up a little bit, actually. Alright, we are clear right, clear left, and we're going to runway 21. We'll make a left-hand turn here. Such a unique sound. You know, I've flown the DA62 so much in the sim, and I've flown the DA42 in the real life, and they have the same engines, the Austro E4B engines. And they have such a unique sound, but I like this engine more because it's got kind of this deep, you know, well, I mean, it's a 6-cylinder engine, so it's kind of got that little more of a deeper rumble to it, you know. Sounds amazing. Guys, I am so excited to do this flight. This is such an awesome airplane. This is, you know, there's a lot of airplanes I've, you know, got lately off of xplane.org that I was like, you know, it's good if it's on sale, it's not worth the full price. With Airbus products, it's always worth the full price. They do such a phenomenal job, you know, of just making a well-rounded, really polished airplane. You know, this is definitely going to be among my favorites. I can tell already I'm going to love flying this thing. Let's clean up the flight director there. Alright, so our filed flight, we're going up to, I don't know why that's all the way up at 50,000 feet. We're going to cruise today at 16,000 feet, assuming we go VFR, or IFR. So we got 16,000 feet set. Once we take off here, we'll just kind of make a turn back to the Durango VOR and join the airway, because we surprisingly don't really have a departure procedure out of here. Even though it is a little bit mountainous down here in Durango, Colorado. Let's get a taxi by on this side. I tell you guys, the next $1.5 million I earn, it'll go right towards the DA50. They're expensive, but man, they're slick airplanes. And so we'll see when we get up there. You know, I've done a little bit of research. I'm curious to see once we get it cruised out here, we'll see what our fuel flow is and stuff like that. You know, whenever X-Plane 12 comes out and I have the Cirrus in the game, it'll be fun to kind of compare these two airplanes, because they're definitely competing with one another, the DA50 and the Cirrus. In a lot of ways, I think I really like the DA50 more. The only thing that would be hard from a real-world, you know, ownership perspective of the DA50 is the wingspan on this airplane, I believe, is 44 feet, which is generally larger than like the standard sized hangar. And so you might have a hard time finding a good hangar for this airplane without spending a whole lot of money, but, you know. Otherwise, I think this airplane is just, it would be such an awesome airplane to have in real life. The airplane does come, of course, with Airbus synthetic vision that we're familiar with from the last couple of airplanes. Yeah, 13.5 meters. Oof. Let's see, is this the end? Yeah, this is the end up here. So we'll pull up here. We'll do our run-up check. Alright, we're going to position the airplane kind of over here. We'll put our prop wash back into this grass area behind us. Get it straightened out here. There we go. Set the brake. Brake is set. Alright, so before we do the engine run up, we're just going to make sure all the engine parameters need to be in the green prior to doing the test. And then one thing I did notice about this airplane too, compared to the DA40 and the DA62 and DA42, the other airplane, the FADEC switch here, you can switch between ECU A and B, and it would actually alternate. With this airplane, it looks like ECU A is generally always the primary, with ECU B being the backup. So that's only a 2-position switch instead of 3. Otherwise, it looks like it's pretty much the same as what we're used to. We'll press and hold our test button. Let it run through the run-up test. It's going to do the feather check, all that good stuff. Now it's going to rev down. Now it's going to switch to ECU, the other ECU, and run through the same checks. Alright, there we go. We got all the ECU fail messages extinguished. We're back to idle. We'll release the button. Alright, 1200 altitude. We'll turn the pitot stall heat on as we take off. Let's go ahead and turn on our fuel pump, and we are ready for takeoff. Let's confirm we're clear on final. clear on departure. Let me just double check too. I don't think Denver's online. So yeah, I don't see Denver online, so we'll just be on navigation here. Or, you know, clearing ourselves basically. We'll kind of treat IFR at first, like I said. I think later on we'll maybe have a little freedom and we'll see if we can find some fun scenery to fly around up in Telluride. Alright, let's see. All the lights are on. Pitot heat's coming on. Clear final. Clear runway. Let's go flying. We need to come up with the name for our front seat passenger here. What should we call her? Alright, runway 21. Let's sync the heading bug. Here we go, guys. Revving it up, smoothly up to full power. Alright, full power. Gauge is green. Gertha. I like it. She shall henceforth be known as Gertha. Alright, 70 knots. We're going to rotate here. It's a little heavy, little nose heavy, it seems like. Granted, I didn't load up the back seat, so that might be part of the reason. But it could use maybe a little bit aft of neutral on takeoff. A lighter feel. Alright, we're at a usable runway, positive rate, gear up. Let me turn on the noise canceling headset here. There we go. Put our Bose A20 on. We'll enjoy some outside sounds here as we climb up. Alright, flaps are coming up. We'll go ahead and bring it back to max continuous, which is 90% power. And we'll start a right-hand turn out to the north. I didn't even make a radio call. That's alright. Durango traffic. Diamond 175 Charlie Foxtrot off departure end runway 21. Making a right-hand turn out, we'll be departing to the north, Durango. Looks like the oil temp's up a little high. Let's make sure. Yep, I forgot to double check the cowl flap. That is one feature on this airplane that is different than the other Diamonds I have flown. This airplane does have a cowl flap, so you got to be mindful of that. There we go. As soon as we got the cowl flap open, looks like the oil temp is starting to cool back down. We'll maintain a nice high airspeed too here. A little bit of extra airspeed will help cool the engine down. Let's get a little flyby shot here. Sounds pretty nice, guys. Let's get one more shot here. We'll go for this side, get a little bit above it. It's a very nice airplane. Oh yeah, we could probably close our cabin window. That would probably make life a little quieter in here. Alright, we'll maintain about that heading right there. We'll join our airway. Let's see, we'll do a flight level change, heading up to 16. Autopilot is on. Let's see, taking a look at the engine gauges. Yeah, that oil temp cooled right down as soon as we get that cowl flap open. Very cool that they have that modeled. Love the dude in the back just trying to read his newspaper. Is he? Here, let's see. Does it show him inside of the cabin here? That does not. Oof. She's a loud airplane without those 820s on. I can't tell what she's doing. Looking at her watch, maybe? She's very impatient. I mean, this is the fastest Diamond out there. Don't be looking at your watch back there where you get there when we get there. So overall performance-wise, obviously we're up here at pretty high altitude. We are maintaining though, looks like doing about 90, let's bump it up, let's call it 100 knots climb. Doing about 800 feet per minute, that's pretty reasonable. Maybe not quite as fast of a climb as the DA62, but still pretty good performance, especially up here at 10,000 feet with high density altitude. So we can watch through 10,000 feet, we can turn those lights off, we turn our fuel pump off. And let's go Nav Mode. So here, as we get above 10,000 feet, we are going to be cruising up at 16,000 feet, at least initially. So we're going to go ahead and turn on our passenger O2. Oh, that's cool. They actually show the mask and everything. Make sure we don't get hypoxic as we cruise on up to Telluride. You can hear just that little breathing sound in the background. Very nice attention to detail. There's a little bit of light turbulence. Let's see how those wing flex looks. See if we get some bumps. Yep, there it is a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that wing. You know, just with that little bump turbulence was bouncing around just a little bit. Maybe I'll create some pilot-induced turbulence here. There we go. That is pretty cool. I like that little bit of detail. Definitely a good place to have synthetic vision as well out here in the mountains of Colorado. In fact, we'll go ahead and let's pull up the terrain awareness here on this one. We'll turn off topography. So you can see even here climbing through 11,500 feet, we'd still have potentially some conflicting terrain on this route of flight. This airway, the MEA, is 15,500 feet for low altitude airway. So we'll let it climb its way up here to 16,000 feet. Once we get there, we'll cruise it out. We'll do kind of a high-speed cruise, see what kind of speed and fuel burn we get. Maybe we'll back it off a little bit and see what we can do for economy cruise. Oh, I just noticed that's an emergency fuel pump. I totally did that wrong. I should have looked at that more carefully. So apparently that's only for non-normal use. Now this airplane is functioning like the DA40. So the DA40 with the Austro engine, you'll notice on the fuel selector valve we have normal position and emergency position. So this aircraft normally will pull fuel from the left-hand tank. And then you'll also notice up here we have a fuel transfer. So the way that it works is the engine's always pulling from the left-hand tank. Every so often here, as you can see, we're getting a little bit of fuel imbalance here because it's drawing fuel from that left-hand tank. Probably every 15-30 minutes or so, you'll actually turn on the fuel transfer for, again, about 15 minutes or so. That will actually turn on a transfer pump that pumps fuel from the right wing to the left wing. And again, the engine normally always draws from the left wing, but the emergency position basically will allow the engine to draw directly from the right wing. But to my understanding, I don't think they have like fuel filters and stuff in place. Maybe they do from the right wing, but it's not preferred to do that, obviously. This valve down here is for emergency use. The transfer pump is what you'd use normally, again, to get the fuel to be in balance. A little bit of light chop here as we cross up over the mountains. going to set up a wing view here on this other side of the fuselage, or the other side of the cabin. There we go. I can switch between them. Alright, coming up on 14,000 feet, just a couple more minutes, and then we should be up to cruising altitude. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to bump the airspeed back here as we climb. We'll see if we can keep our rate of climb a little bit higher. We can cruise a little bit quicker. Curious here, now that we're up to like 14, if we turn this oxygen off, how long until we start to notice the effects of hypoxia? At least according to the X-plane logic. Alright, you're starting to notice it's starting to get a little bit darker. I think that's how it simulates the hypoxia. Is gradually your vision just gets kind of darker and darker, which is, you know, somewhat accurate, I suppose. Loss of color vision especially is one of the symptoms that you'll sometimes see associated with hypoxia. Yeah, you can notice it's just gradually getting harder and harder for us to see here. It's getting a little bit darker and darker. Very subtle. We'll let it go a few more seconds, then we'll turn our oxygen back on. So yeah, getting pretty dark. Alright, so just for comparison, we're going to turn the oxygen back on here. We'll give ourselves a view out the window. There's 15 for 16. And you can see there our vision gradually returns and starts to become brighter again. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Took it a couple of minutes to kind of show up. That's pretty accurate. At least at these altitudes. You know, time of useful consciousness down this low is generally several minutes at least. Alright, coming up on 16,000 feet. Guys, I just checked on xplane.org and the livery that I created for the E1000 is up and available now for download on xplane.org in the livery section. I might do a live stream later tonight just so I kind of want to fly that livery now that I worked on it for a few hours and see how she looks. Alright, there's 16,000 feet. We're going to keep the throttle up here. It looks like as we have climbed... Ooh, there we go. Our load did come down from 90 down to about 83, so let's see if we can bump it up. We've got to watch the RPM though, keep it out of the yellow. Okay, so it looks like as you increase in altitude, your percent of load or power on the engine decreases. So that's something, again, just a little difference from the Austro engines that I'm more familiar with. But we are accelerating, so let's leave it up there about 85% on the load, since that's about where we'd reach our RPM limitation. Let's see what kind of airspeed we can get here for cruise. Get another flyby shot while we're letting the airplane speed up. I'm just loving those sounds. Whoops, sorry guys, I totally put y'all on a an intermission screen. Didn't mean to do that. Get another flyby shot without the interruption. awesome. Alright here, so we're still accelerating. As of right now, we've got 165 knots true airspeed. That's pretty good. We're still accelerating. I think we'll probably true out, I think around 180 is going to be my guess about where your max, you know, continuous cruising speed would be. And fuel burn with that power setting, we're burning about 13 gallons per hour, or 14 gallons per hour of Jet A. Let it keep accelerating. Let's see where it maxes out. Maybe we'll be a little under 180. I'm guessing the probably your optimum altitude for max forward speed in this airplane is probably around 10, maybe 12,000 feet. Above that, you'll probably actually start to lose a little bit of true airspeed, just because of you know, limited engine power up at higher altitude. While I'm thinking about it here, we do have a good fuel imbalance here. Let's go ahead and turn that transfer pump on. And we'll let that run for a few minutes, maybe 10 or 15 minutes here. We'll start a timer to remind ourselves. Alright, still accelerating. Looks like we made it to 170. Yes, maybe not quite 175. True. Here it's, again, this is at 16,000 feet. Down lower, we'll probably get a little bit more speed. We'll do another speed run here once we start to descent into Telluride. Yeah, check that out. We're getting just a few light bumps, but yeah, you can still see just that tiny bit of wing flex that they have in there. Very cool. Well done, Aerobasque. All that tech and no pressurized cabin? Yep. I guess so. Well, I mean, you know, pressurized cabin, I guess you'd have to add probably a fair amount of weight for the structural support for pressurized cabin, and you know, compressor and all that to pressurize it. So, you know, it's kind of a trade-off, right? I think originally, though, when they were starting, you know, probably back in about 2010, when they were first coming out with the concepts for the DA50 and what ultimately became the DA62, I'm pretty sure they were planning on doing pressurized cabins. For a while, they were even planning on doing like I think a turbine version of an airplane similar to this. So it'd be comparable to like the Lancers that have the, you know, the turbine engines on the front. But it would be, you know, just a 4-place airplane that was actually pressurized. But obviously, you know, I'm not sure what their decision making was in deciding not to go pressurized, but let's see, so we're 2 minutes in. So actually already with 2 minutes on the transfer pump, so it looks like you don't even have to run it that long. We've already gotten to a point where we have more fuel in the left than the right. Yeah, just drag a huge oxygen bottle with you. That is true. Although I think the oxygen, so I guess part of the reason too is the oxygen system is actually an optional add-on. So if you didn't want the O2 system, you know, if you weren't going to be regularly flying the airplane above 10 or 12,000 feet, then you could actually get more useful load by not having the oxygen bottle. I guess I just playing devil's advocate, that's the argument that I can make as to why they'd probably opt for that. But I do agree with you. I think pressurized is so much more comfortable than having to deal with masks and cannulas and all that. All right, there we got a few more gallons in the left now than the right, so we'll turn our transfer pump off. And we'll let it burn down the left side until so the premium version won't let you die. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the flight school I went to, we had 4 DA42s and 2 of them were equipped with the O2 system and 2 of them weren't. But I'll be honest, even in Utah, you really never, unless you're cruising right over the middle of the, Uinta Mountains in Utah, or if you're going to go over the Front Range in Denver, into Denver or something like that, you really didn't need the O2, even in mountainous terrain in a lot of conditions. But it certainly was nice to have if you did want it or need it, just to be able to plug in the mask and then pull the valve. Then you've got O2. Let's see, we can go ahead and put that timer away. We're done with that now. And we're getting pretty close up here to Telluride. Let's start looking at our charts here. I'm so glad they added the option to mount the tablet right here. That's a very convenient spot compared to their other small airplanes where the tablet just kind of floats up here in midair. It's very nice to have a tablet mounted over here on the side. Let's see, we can close all the Durango charts. We're done with Durango now. And Telluride. Oops. There we go. Let's see, calm winds, clear skies. We'll load an approach in just for the heck of it. Do the GPS Zulu. Let's see, what's the required climb gradient? Does it have a pretty significant one? Let's see. Missed approach requires 380, so I think the other approach would actually be less. So I'm not sure at this high altitude if this airplane would do the climb gradient or not. We'll load this one in. It's the Nav Yankee runway 9. So we'll go procedure, approach, Nav Yankee to 9. And we'll load it off ETL. Do we need a course reversal at ETL? Honestly, we probably do, but I'm not going to, just for the sake of time. We'll leave minimums off because I don't feel like dialing that in, and let's activate that. We're already direct to the VOR anyways. Let's see, and for VNAV planning, it looks like we're going to be crossing the VOR at 13. We're already pretty much on that path. So, let's see, we'll do that. I guess we'll start our descent now. 13,000 set. We'll VS down. Go 1,000 feet per minute until we can capture our VNAV path. Bring our thrust back a little bit. What's this VOR? That's the Cones VOR, that's right. I couldn't remember what the VOR was called. Out here now, near Telluride. Really need to get some custom scenery for Telluride because it's such a cool, cool airport to fly into. Looks like our oil temp's a little on the low side. Let's go ahead and close our cowl flap. Try to prevent the oil from overcooling. Telluride traffic. Diamond 175 Charlie Foxtrot is about 20 miles to the southwest. Will be inbound on the Nav Yankee runway 9 approach. Telluride. Bring our throttle back here as we make our descent. Alright, so once we pass the cones VOR, we maintain, looks like 13,000 feet all the way to the Sepma intersection, and then down to our minimums, which in our case is only going to be 11,500 feet. So we'll let it make the turn up here at the VOR. Doing 185 knots in the descent, which is pretty nice. It's a pretty quick airplane, I'd say pretty similar speed-wise to the DA62. I think the Cirrus might outdo this airplane just a little bit in speed. I don't really have any real-world experience with Cirrus, but I'd imagine the Cirrus is maybe just a hair quicker than the Diamond. Hey Dashy, how's it going? Alright guys, making the turn in from Cones VOR, we're now going to be on our way to the Sepma intersection. So I'm going to go ahead and set this down to 11,500 feet. We're going to arm VNav. Get our heading bug swung around here, so match it up with our inbound course. Meh. The aircraft deal fell through, so look for new aircraft. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's no fun. Yeah, the process of purchasing an airplane is definitely a demanding one, I'll put it that way. You know, I've never bought one myself, but I've known so many people who've purchased and sold airplanes, and yeah, it's definitely, it can be challenging. Alright, course is coming alive, still below the glide path here. We're going to keep the speed back here just so that we aren't screaming in. Yep, pain in the butt. I believe it. And if we look out here, we should be able to see Telluride. There it is right there. So it's kind of up on a hillside. It's got steep drop-offs off both ends of the runway. Very deep ravine out to the right side and a steep hill about 2/3 of the way around the airport. It's a fun one to fly into. Alright guys, glide path is alive. We're going to arm up approach mode. Let it follow that path down here. There it is. Bring the power back. We'll go about, my experience with the DA40, or DA42, excuse me, usually around 35% is good range. Although I just noticed the gear warning comes on at, looks like about 40%. So, just so we don't have to listen to that, we'll go a little bit above that. And let's see, what are our flap limitations? 133 for first notch flaps and 121 for full flaps. Gear is good all the way up to 162. Let's go ahead and throw the gear down. We're 12.5 for 11.5. 11.5 is our min, so we'll have to have the autopilot off at that point. Continuing. Telluride traffic. Diamond 175 Charlie Foxtrot is about 5 miles to the west, inbound runway 9er Telluride. Gear does a good job of helping us slow down. Alright, below 133. Got one notch of flaps here. And autopilot is coming off. Hand flying it from here on. Go ahead and turn the flight director off. And we're approaching 10,000 feet. I'm going to go ahead and bring us off the O2. We shouldn't need that anymore. Get the lights on. Fuel balance looks good. We got gear down, 3 in the green. I think this is a pretty steep approach into Telluride. What's the descent angle that it's got here? 3.69, so basically 3.7 degrees descent. So that's a little bit steeper than the standard 3 degrees here into Telluride. I need to go find some good like payware scenery for this airport. This is just such an amazing airport to fly into. You wouldn't want to be lost coming in this airport in the clouds, that's for sure. There's a lot of mountains hiding around with you. Those flaps definitely give the airplane a pretty sharp nose down angle, I feel like. But I think part of it's the the mountains kind of create the illusion, but that's a lot of flap out there on the wings. Plus, even inboard of where this split is here, you actually have split flaps below the fuselage in this section here. Let's go full flaps. We're in the wide arc. Watch this pitching. Oh, we're getting some turbulence here. Getting rocked around a bit. Oh, yeah, some moderate stuff. Let's look at that wing flex. Oh, of course it stops as soon as I go look at the wing view. Come on now. Oof, that is a loud engine. So yeah, as you look at the flaps, I know they're just huge flaps, stretching almost the entire, 3/4 the span of the wing almost. You need the 757 wing flex. I wonder if the Diamond wings would break with that much wing flex. That was seriously impressive to see. Telluride, 175 Charlie Foxtrot on a short final, landing runway 9er, full stop Telluride. Alright guys, here we are, short final. Let's see how well of a landing we can do. Just like the DA52, this airplane's got nice trailing link landing gear.
500, 400, 300, 200.
Gotta love Telluride.
100.
So hopefully it should be a nice buttery landing. Got quite a bit of slope to this runway though, so this is gonna get real interesting. Here's the down slope. We're following down the hill. Yeah, that wasn't a greaser. I feel like the slope of this runway might be slightly exaggerated. Those call-outs, though, yeah, 500, 400, 300, 200. That's about what it's like landing in Telluride. I've never been here in real life, but yeah, the ground proximity loves it. Well, that was fun, guys. Welcome to Telluride. Maybe we'll do another lap around, do some VFR flying. We'll taxi off here. We'll take off the other direction. Just do one more takeoff and landing. I want to get the takeoff figured out. So it seems like it really wants a little more nose up trim than the recommended takeoff position. It's a little nose heavy compared to my other experience with Diamond aircraft. Let's see, we can turn off the pitot heat. Landing and strobe lights are off. I'm gonna go about there for takeoff. Which actually, the takeoff thing, oops. So as I look at the trim wheel, I actually didn't realize takeoff is actually slightly aft of the 0 position. The other aircraft, usually you'll position the trim right on that line. And this is generally true of the DA40 and the DA52. You'll position it on that line, but here it looks like, yeah, the takeoff marking is slightly aft of that neutral position. So that makes sense. I just didn't notice that the first time. I had it positioned right in the middle, so let's see if that takeoff feels a little bit better with a more properly adjusted trim. Telluride traffic, Diamond 175 Charlie Foxtrot's going to take off runway 27. We'll be maneuvering in the area just south of the airport, Telluride. Let's bring the track IR back on, clear final, clear runway. Alright, flaps, lights, and we'll keep the heat off. We're going to be staying VFR on this one. There's runway 27, really overshot that. Let's get to center. There it is. Full power is coming in. There we go. Full power, gauge is green. Yeah, that feels much better if you actually put it in the proper takeoff position. So it's a little bit after the neutral line. Other rate gear up. Pretty good climb performance. That's kind of a VX climb there. Get the best angle. Those flaps really do create a lot of drag though. Once you can get those flaps up, this thing really really accelerate pretty quick. Get another flyby shot here. It's a nice handling airplane though. I mean, it handles like a diamond, you know, there's no other way to say it. It's very stable. Pretty forgiving, pretty docile. Let's try a couple of stalls with it too, just for fun. I haven't tried those yet. It's probably not the greatest area to practice maneuvers up here in the mountains, where you can get yourself in trouble here pretty quick. To make a turn out, we'll kind of fly out the other direction. Fly back out west. There's lower terrain that direction. Yeah, I should probably open the cow flap too while we're climbing out here. Yeah, you can already see our temperatures are in the yellow here. Let's bring it back to climb power. Let's pitch it forward. Get some airspeed. Some more airflow through the engine. I gotta add that to my before takeoff flows. Gotta check that cow flap position. We didn't hit the red, but it was definitely in the yellow. But as soon as that cow flap opens, it cools off pretty quick. Alright, so let's just kind of try some stalls. I just want to see how the airplane really behaves in its low speed configuration. So let's go gear down. I'm going to do a landing configuration stall here first. Full flaps. And let's just see how she behaves. Power's coming back. We're going to hold just a consistent pitch attitude here, try to maintain altitude. And that's full aft stop. That's as far back as the stick goes. And just kind of mushing through the air. Didn't really get a stall warning here. Let me give it some nose up trim, because the simulator logic will give us a little bit more nose up. We'll give ourselves a little bit of power too, see if we can induce a stall. There we go. There's kind of a higher nose attitude. Very docile though, which, you know, to my understanding is really how this airplane is. You actually, because of the vortex generators and everything, they designed it to have pretty good aileron control pretty deep into the stall. Yeah, let's go ahead and recover. I mean, we never got a stall horn even. We just got some, you know, descent rate. But otherwise, it was very, very docile. And low speed handling. Alright, flaps are coming up. Bring it back to climb power here. I'm gonna go ahead and configure. Let's see if we can pitch up. Let's do a power on stall scenario here. We'll do about 18 to 20 degrees nose up. A little bit of power, and we're just gonna hold it. Hold some back pressure there. Getting slow. There's the stall horn. A little bit of buffet, but still I'm at full aft stop right there. You know, it's a little mushy, but still have some positive aileron control. And we're still climbing, you know, that's the amazing thing. I'm full aft stick right here. Just on the edge of the stall warning. And there it's kind of losing some lift. We're down to, you know, we didn't lose altitude, but we stopped gaining altitude, I'll put it that way. Yeah, very, very docile. Let's go ahead. Oops, I forgot the gear was still up. I thought I had the gear down. That's alright. Alright, gear cycle, we're going to bring it up. Just for fun, I'm going to try an accelerated stall, because I really want to kind of see if this thing misbehaves at all with the stalls. But, you know, power on, power off, 1G stalls. Not a whole lot to it. Couldn't really even get the airplane to go full stall, if I'm honest here. Right, we're going to pull power back. 45 degrees of bank. Let's just kind of increase that back pressure. And see if we can induce an accelerated stall. There we go, getting a little stall warning. Not much to it. Still very docile. It's a good flying airplane. Alright, well, let's go land at Telluride. I think we'll call the stream once we do that. And I might be back later today to fly the Epic E1000. Spent a couple hours making that new livery for it. I'm gonna fly around with it a little bit. Telluride traffic, Diamond 175, Charlie Foxtrot, about a 5-mile final landing runway, 9er Telluride. Let's go ahead and we're going to pull off just for fun so we can enjoy the sounds. We're going to pull off the noise canceling headset. We'll turn this volumes down a little bit. Enjoy a little bit of outside view while we're flying here. Yeah, just look at how massive those flaps are, and they're double slotted too. So here as we go, full flaps. Yeah, those are crazy huge. I'll definitely produce some drag and some lift. So let's see, idle power with full flaps. Maintain about 80 knots here. So comes down to about 1,200 feet a minute. With full flaps, idle power. Telluride traffic, Diamond 175, Charlie Foxtrot on short final landing runway 9er, Telluride. Get ready for the crazy ground proximity callouts. Wouldn't want to hear that at just about any other airport but Telluride. Alright, power got to idle. We're holding it off on the downhill stretch here. And there we go. We'll wheel you down the runway here with the changes in the grade. It's really a steep runway. At least in X-Plane it is. I mean, I know it's got a little bit of slope to it in real life too, but I don't think quite that much. We'll go watch the replays of the landing too. Get a couple of those cool flyby shots. Oops, I thought the taxiway was coming up there. It's up here. So that's kind of one kind of thing to notice too. So up here at high altitude, it is true of the Austro engines as well. They idle a lot higher if you're really good at high altitude. So here I've got the throttle all the way idle, and you'll notice the engine's actually still running about 13% and 1600 RPM. I don't know how accurate it is to this engine in particular, but you wouldn't see quite as much RPM difference as that with the Austro engines, I feel like, but it is pretty accurate that you'll notice a noticeably higher engine idle. The ECU commands at high altitude. That's something to keep in mind with the landing performance too. Alright guys, well let's go watch the replays, and then we'll probably call it after we do that, and we'll be back later today doing some epic E1000 flying, I think. I'm totally not going to park on the tie down, but that's alright. Look how much bigger this airplane is than, I don't know what airplanes those are, but this is significantly larger. Alright, lights. I'll turn all those off. Turn the Nav Master off. Engine Master comes off. And Electric Master comes off. Alright guys, let's go watch the replay. Let that get out of my way. Glad it disconnects me, otherwise I'd totally forget. Somebody would be coming in to land Telluride and see an airplane going backwards and VATS him. That wouldn't be legit. Alright. So we'll go right here. There we go. We'll get a cool flyby shot here as we're on the landing. It was a floater landing, although we've got quite a steep downhill stretch. Oh, we can't even watch the landing. The terrain slopes down too much after that initial threshold of the runway. Little bounced landing there with the downhill slope. Not too bad though. How many G's did we get? About 1.6. It's a little firm, but not too bad, especially with the trailing link gear. But yeah, either way, guys, it's been a lot of fun. This has been my first real flight in the Diamond DA50, and definitely, just like any of the other Arabesque products, I would definitely recommend this airplane. It is very well made. Great textures, great sounds, good handling, and a well-designed flight deck. Pretty cool to check it out. Anyways, guys, thanks for hopping in the live stream with me today. I'll be back later, and we'll fly the epic E1000 around. Probably just do one quick flight in it, maybe an hour long or so, and have some fun. But until then, have a great day, guys. We'll see you soon.
TCAS test pass.
It's still doing all the warm-ups after we brought it back to life here. Always forget to get the music queued up. It always makes the outros real awkward. Alright, there we go. We'll see you guys later.